Can we make jewellery with eco-pour? I think we can, so let's have a go. Now this is answering a viewer question because it's one I've been asked a lot lately. Can we make beads? Well, I already know the answer to that one because I've been having a play. Let me show you. But I've got an idea that I haven't tried yet to do with it. Can we make pendants? Can we make, how thick does it need to be durable? Do you need to seal it? A whole load of questions around eco-pour. So I'm going to do a whole series on these. Plonk your questions down below. I've got quite a list of questions already. So can we use nail art stamps on eco-pour? Can we use silk screening on eco-pour? What about stencils? Rubber stamps, decoupage, stickers, washi tape, gems, paint, pigments, foil, crackle paints, blooming nail polish. Could I try using some of Wendy from Toonfish Crafts tiny inlays with them? What do we do to seal afterwards? Can we use ultraviolet curing resin? So I've got a bit of a list there. If there's anything else you would like me to add to this list, drop it in the comments below. But yeah, I want to do a whole series of different ideas for making jewellery with eco-pour. Now remember, if you can do it with eco-pour, there's a good chance you can do it with aquacast, jesmonite, you know, all the other eco resin alternatives are out there. Resincrete, I can't think of all the other brand names, but there's a lot out there. Now I'm favouring eco-pour particularly, you probably know this having watched some of my videos before, because it is so particularly white, which makes your mixing colours really, really easy. She said in a really patronising voice for some unknown reason. Anyway, here we go. Just going to mix a bit up. Eco-pour, if you want to get yourself some, is from Just For You Online. I'll put you the link down below in the description. And for those of you watching on TV screens, I will pop the QR code down here for you as well. Now there is a discount code on this stuff because I am an affiliate and ambassador for Just For You Online, just for their eco-pour and for their resin, because I was using it all the time anyway, so I thought, yeah, why not, when they very kindly offered. So don't forget to use your discount code, 15%, that's a decent discount, isn't it? Right, what we're going to do is pour some of this into each of these little pots, and I'm going to sit myself down comfy here so that we can do it. And you could try putting it into a needle-tipped bottle, but the reason I'm doing this is this way is because I've got these really cute little spoons. They're actually cocktail stirrers. I found them. I'm going to buy myself a load. Now what I'm trying to do here, and this is the other reason for using these little spoons, is get about the same amount into each one, because I'm going to make stripy beads. Eco-pour cures fast. You do just mix it with water. You've just seen me do that. It's wonderful stuff. Now what I'm going to do is have a little clean up, and then we will wait for that to pretty much cure, and then put another colour in. We're going to have stripy beads, and I'm going to make a bracelet. So back with you in about 15 minutes. Right, that's been a good few minutes now. I mean, theoretically you can demold this stuff within about 20 minutes, half an hour, but I just wanted to make sure it had firmed up nicely. Now what I'm going to say is I have been doing some experimenting previously, and I found that for jewellery type things, well, a lot of things really, whilst you can demold it soon, really quickly, you're better off leaving it a bit longer. And particularly for little delicate items like jewellery, then I would say just, you know, I know this might defeat the object of the speed of this stuff, but leave it overnight. Let it, the thing is, you need to let all the moisture go out of it, and look, they're sealed in these little moulds, aren't they, rather, so you're going to want to leave it a bit longer. Now the colours I'm going for, Homeware Designs ones, this one is called Avocado. I'm going to put 3 drips. These go a very long way, you don't need much. Because look how strong a colour that is already. Isn't that pretty? Also, I do have a concern that if you put too much, then you're running the risk of it not curing. I'm running some tests at the moment on just how much is too much. So I'll keep you posted on that. So again, we're going to go in with 1, 2, 3, 4 little spoons. Eco-pour, for another little tip for anybody who's not used it before, it's quite forgiving. So whilst it says on the packet that you need 10 parts powder to 3 parts water, you can actually go somewhat either side of that. And for jewellery pieces, and this is another reason to let them cure for a lot longer, I think I'm going to want to make them a lot runnier. And that is simply because I want to make sure it gets all down into the mould properly and you don't get any bubbles trapped, that sort of thing. Now, I think I forgot to show you. This is a little trick. Tap it, or do that. Just tap and tap and tap and tap. And the idea is then that it'll help the liquid run into where you want it, into the, into all the nooks and crannies. Let any bubbles surface, all of that sort of thing. So let's just see. Now I need to look at this from the side to see how far up it that has come. Is that going to be a decent stripe? I think I need a bit more, particularly in that one. So I'm going to put 2 more in that one. As usual, I'll put you the links for everything down below. And so just have a look down in the video description. If you are watching on a laptop, computer, PC, whatever, that sort of thing, then you will see below the video, if you're just on the normal view, just click down onto where it says more. Below the video you'll see there's like a first line of the description and then it just cuts off, so click down on that to see the rest. If you're watching on an iPad or a phone, again below the video just click that more, it should open up. I've noticed that on my iPad it opens up to the right, but that's where it is. Not sure if you're watching on telly, it's something I've never done. And then what we're going to do, just to have a really good contrast with the last one, I'm going to go for the apricot colour, which I will try to mix in enough to get it to the same sort of strength of colour that the green is. And that should give us a good strong contrast so we can see what's going on and whether it's worked. Now, the question is will the 3 layers fall apart from each other? As I said, I've made beads with this stuff before, just not made stripy ones. So I'm going to have a clean up and I'll be back in another few minutes for the final layer. Okay, now, been again about 15 minutes. Now, as you can see, it's got a matte finish in there, so you know it's pretty much dry. And look at the back, we've got stripes. Right, so I was going to go in with apricot, wasn't I? So, let's put it, sorry about the extreme close-up by the way, but I think this is the best way to see what's going on. And we put, was it about 3 or 4 dots of the colour in, didn't we, previously? So let's do the same again. This is going to be quite strong, isn't it, this colour? Ooh, pretty. And very nice and runny too. Just going to put a little bit more of the powder in. There we go. It's still very runny. It's just brought the colour back slightly, and it's still got, it's got enough consistency to it to cure properly. So let's get my little stool so I can sit down and see what I'm doing again. Just want to say a huge thanks to all the people who bought me a coffee in December. Well, you know what I'm like. Thank you all for all of your support all of the time. But during the back end of November and into December, a number of people bought me a coffee that directly bought me my new chair. And also went a long way towards some more clips for my my pegboards. So all in all, thank you so much everyone. My old chair, well I very often stand up to video anyway, but I did need a chair sometimes, and the old one had seen better days. during the move, something went ping and flew out of it, which we can't find, which was one of the little screws holding it together. It was a very cheap one. I think I just bought it because it was purple. Sounds like me, doesn't it? But the one I've got now that I bought to replace it is a nice little swivel chair, and it's again wasn't expensive, but it's just cute and not too bulky, and it's really doing the job well. I love it. It's comfy as well. Right, I think I've got a little bit too much in that one, and possibly that one. I'm just going to put a tiny dot more into a couple of them. See, the thing is, if you overfill it very slightly, you can sand it off anyway, but you do want it full to just below the top. So just a quick light wipe over, I think, gets it to about where you want it to be. Just using my window wipes as usual, as they clean up pretty much anything. And yeah, they're amongst their camping essentials as well, you know. They're just fantastic. Right, there we are. I'll see you for the demould, and I'm going to leave them now, probably at least an hour, to let the moisture really come out of them, and just to make sure that they've all, you know, that they're nice and solid basically. And yeah, we'll take it from there. Right, time to demould these. Because other stuff got in the way, it has actually been 2 days. They're sure going to be dry. Oh no, we've got a stripy bead. Just make sure the layers aren't going to come apart. No, that's good. Didn't get too many bubbles. The stripe went off slightly there. Doesn't matter. Isn't that cute? So I'm going to sand that down. Just rub it on on a nail file or a bit of sanding paper. And yeah, we'll move on to make this into, should we make a little bracelet? Might need a couple more beads or spacers. I didn't put enough of the orange in that one. But they've got a kind of like a nice handmade, slightly rustic feel to them. And I think that's the point of handmade, isn't it? You don't necessarily want it to be perfect. Otherwise you'd have just bought a plastic one, wouldn't you, from somewhere? Oh, that one's come out nice. It's funny how bits of the green went walkabouts. But I think, armed with spacer beads too, these will be fine to make it. I mean, there'll be enough here to make a bracelet because they're quite big. So that will be our next step. Once I've sanded those off, I'm going to wax them actually. So I'll sand them off. I'll show you how I do that, and then we'll wax them. And then we'll put them together. Right, back in a moment. Right, in terms of sanding, you could use a piece of sandpaper, wet and dry or anything like that. Or I find that these are so easy to sand, this stuff. You can just do that. Sorted. And the thing is, you can round that off a little bit. And by the time that's waxed, you won't even notice it once it's into a bracelet. So, I'll see you in a moment when I've done all of these. So what I'm doing now is just giving them all a quick wipe over to get that dust off. And then we'll go in with the wax. Now for the wax, I'm just going to get a soft cloth. Normally I use a sponge, but I think because these are so little, a cloth might be the easy way to go. So that will be our next step, but as you can see, you're going to have beads in between these as well. You're going to have bead caps, things like that, other bits of jewellery findings. You won't necessarily notice that end that doesn't look quite as tidy, but as I said, it's part of the handmade thing. They're not going to be absolutely perfect, are they? And that's part of their charm. Right, I'm going to grab a soft cloth and I'll show you what I mean. So the wax I'm using is from Homeware Design. It is a really nice, like a furniture wax type thing. So anything like that would do, but I like this one. It smells nice too, because it's got coconut oil and things in it. So just going to do that. Get the wax all over it. Give it a good rub. I don't suppose you actually need to seal them, but I think anything that's going to have a little bit of wear and tear, which jewellery will, then it's a wise move. So clean bit of cloth and rub it off. And that is our finished bead. So I'm just going to do that with all of them, and we'll be back shortly to do some assembling. Turn these beads into something then. Now first thing, look, I've already had to rescue one from underneath the desk. So I've got one of my sticky mats out. So tip for you, if you're going to be making a lot of jewellery, either make yourself or get a sticky mat. If there's enough demand for these sticky mats, I'll put them in my shop. This size and half size ones maybe, I don't know. Anyway, we have got some toggle clasps, and I could only find the gold that I'd got both parts for. So we're going to be going with gold. I was going to do silver, but hey, we'll go with gold. So I've got some gold, little gold. Well, these are big chunky seed beads that we can use as spacers, and I've got some jump rings, and we have got some pliers. First of all, we're going to need to be able to cut wire, so I've got my little wire cutters. Then we've got some round nose pliers, and that's for turning the loops on the end, and some flat nose pliers in case we need to grip anything or squash anything. So there we are. First thing then, let's take ourselves a gold eye pin. So I'm using up some old stock here, so there's some of them are a little bit bent, but there's a gold eye pin. So cool because it's got an eye on this end, look. Now, first thing I want to do is I'm going to put a spacer bead on there. I want to go little bead, big bead, little bead, all the way around. So I'm going to put a spacer bead on. Then I'm going to put one of our new beads on. Now this is going to be on the end, so you're going to notice the side that isn't so perfect. Now of course you could get some bead caps and put on if you really wanted to, but I'm figuring if they're all close together you're not going to notice. Do we want two on it? No, we'll go one at a time, shall we? Let's go one at a time. So we're going to cut this wire off about here. It's about the width of my finger, look. See? Well, the part of my finger that's touching, it's, what's that, a centimetre? Half an inch, something like that. So then you grab it near the tip. I hope this will focus. Grab it near the tip, just slightly off the tip, with quite near the tip of your little pliers. Grip it firmly and turn. Then once you've got all the way around, take the pliers out, take them back to the base against the bead and turn it back just slightly. And that should centre your loop. Now mine has gone slightly off, which is always going to happen when you're trying to demonstrate, isn't it? Typical. Anyway, we can sort him out. There we go. That's near enough. That'll do. Now at the other end I am going to open back up and put the clasp on now, I think, because it'll make it easier to handle. But the first thing I want to do is put a jump ring on, and again that'll make it easier to handle. This is a bit fiddly at the moment because I've got nails. This is why I've been keeping them shorter and not painting them or anything, to make this sort of thing a lot more practical. But people complained about my nails, so I've let them grow and I've gone sparkly. And I'm due to do them again shortly. I use UV gel polish on them, and yeah, they're due a top up. Yes, let's do it that way. We're opening the jump ring up instead. We'll do it that way, that's easier. And we'll put our little clasp on. These are toggle clasps, so they come in two parts. And we twist our jump rings open and twist them closed again. This might be easier with two pairs of flat end pliers, but I'm just using what I've got to hand. There we go, so it doesn't distort our jump ring. We'll just make sure that that has closed up completely so they don't come loose. So there's the start of our bracelet. Next then, we will take another eye pin. Whoops, that's a head pin. We will take an eye pin, and I'm going to open this one up. Shouldn't need to, but because I've gone ahead and closed the first one up, then I will open this one. So twist, loop through, twist back, and then a little pinch to make sure it's closed. There we are, nice and secure. And I'm going to tip some of these out. You'll see they don't roll once you get them on your sticky mat, which is handy. Bead, bead. Oops, let's go the other way around. I was wondering which way. I think they will need to go the same way around, don't they? So the orange that way. Bead. Trim it off, about the thickness of your finger. Twist. Twist back. There we go, I got a better loop that time. I'm a little bit out of practice. Let's come back just, oops, these pliers I think are playing up as well. Oh, they're crossing. That's odd. Anyway, there we go. So we've got a nice little loop. We can get our next eye pin. Trying to find the gold ones out of this lot. This is a good way for me to use up some of my jewellery stash actually, because I've got a lot of old stock I want to get used up. That's it, and we just pinch that loop closed. So can you see where we're going with this? I'll speed this up for you. This clearly isn't going to be long enough for a bracelet for me, because I could do with definitely another bead look. But anyway, I'm going to show you how to attach the toggle on the other end and how it does up, and then at some point when I get time I will make another bead. But obviously my little bead mould only makes 6 at a time, and I only made 6 because I'm a muppet. Right, twisting this loop open. I mean, what I could do is just put a little extension chain on here. We could do that. Actually, have I got some? Let me have a look. I'll show you what I mean. Let's do this. That's just little bits of chain. Now you can buy bags of extension chain, or you could just buy a load of chain and cut it up. You know, that might be cheaper. Or you could just make a load of links with your jump rings if you really wanted to. But yeah, I think ideally you'd have wanted to make an extra bead and then perhaps put the little extension chain on as well. And a different sort of clasp. If you use a lobster clasp, these extension chains make a lot more sense because people can join them up wherever they want to. But anyway, just for the purposes of demoing today, that'll do the job, because it'll finish our bracelet off, even though the beads don't go all the way around as I would have preferred. So we just take our little toggle, put it on the end of our extension chain. I mean, you could put a little short extension chain both ends, couldn't you? Then it would be symmetrical. It's not going to be too big for me, but you see, you get the idea. So that is how you would... I always find toggle clasps annoying. There we are. That is how you would take some Eco-Pour, make some beads and turn it into a little bracelet. So there we are then. We have one bracelet. Now, for my next video in this jewellery using Eco-Pour series, I will be having a go at making some like flat pieces like pendants and so on. I have been doing some strength tests on thinner pieces to see how it works, so I'll share that with you in my next video. So hugs all round, and I will see you for the next one. Bye.